Hi, my name is Miss Dehart, or Zoe, and today what we're going to do is we're going to make some galaxy paintings. Super simple, any age can do this. I'm using materials that you can probably find around the house, hopefully. You can use acrylic paint or tempera paint. Tempera is a washable paint that usually comes in like a Crayola brand or Prang. Then the acrylic paint that I have, that's what I'm using, is just what I had put out. I'm using an old takeout lid, and I'm using this as my palette. I like using these because they're super easy to wash, and if for some reason it gets ruined, it's not a big deal to toss this. Yeah, so I like using plastic lids, like butter dishes. Their lids are great. Any kind of lid. I always tell my kids at school that these work for great free palettes. Instead of having to buy a palette, use what you have. Okay. The other thing that I'm using is a magic eraser. But what I did was I cut the magic eraser in half, and then what I'm doing is I'm quartering it. And then I'm cutting those in half, like the width ways, like this. A makeup sponge works really, really well, like those really soft wedges that you can get. I think you can get like 30 of them at the Dollar Tree. I don't have any here right now, so this magic eraser has that same smooth texture. You could use a regular like kitchen sponge, but you're gonna have some marks, like the little nooks and crannies are gonna leave little dots. So I really like this because it's smooth. But like I said, a makeup sponge would work. Magic eraser, whatever you have lying around. If you don't have any of that and you want to use a brush, go for it. Use what you have. So we're going to take one of these makeup sponges. You can see I already have one that I did because I made a little example to show you. Here's my little galaxy painting that I made, and I'm going to show you some tricks to doing this. So what you want to do first is lay down something as a placemat, because you are going to be flicking some white paint for the stars, and you want to have your area protected, whether you cover the table in newspaper or maybe you have one of those plastic Dollar Tree tablecloths. Those work really, really well. I'm just using my favorite cardboard. I have lots of cardboard. So I am using just black construction paper. This is mixed media paper that I got. I had this laying around the house. It just comes in a spiral tablet full. I'm gonna make two right away because why not? Because my space that I have my little placemat on holds two of these. So I just tore them out. Black construction paper will work well. Any dark colored paper, dark gray would work. Use what you have. If you don't have black, make it black. You could use black paint and paint a whole area. You could do this on a piece of cardboard. I've seen artists do it on the cover of their sketchbooks because they don't like the store-bought sketchbook. They paint the whole thing black, and then they let it dry completely. And then they do their galaxy painting on top. So if you don't have black paper, make your paper black, okay? So what I'm going to do is just talk about my color choices that I have. You could use any color that you have in paint. I typically, I do this with my 9th graders. This is usually their sketchbook cover design that they do this on in the beginning of the year. It's fun because by day 3, they're jumping in and they're painting, and they are hooked. So what I give them on their palette is I give them colors that are primary color-ish. My makers, if you're my maker, you know your primary colors. So red, blue, and yellow, those are the colors that make every other color of the rainbow. I didn't have red, so I used a variation. I used this magenta. I didn't have a dark blue. I had this kind of turquoise blue. It'll work. And then yellow, and then I have black and white. My black is more of a dark gray. It's what I had, so that's what I'm going to use. Okay, so yeah, this is my palette, my 3 little primary colors, and then black and white. If you're doing my painting party on Friday, these are the same colors that you're going to need for that. So one thing that my makers learn is you can make all different colors with these 3 colors. And then black and white just give you some even more variations. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to jump in with our sponge right now. You can cut this to whatever size is easy for you to hold or manipulate. If you have a younger art maker and you need to make this a little bit larger, cut it larger, customize it. And what I'm going to do is I'm first going to dip it in my water and just kind of get it saturated. And I'm going to squeeze out the extra water. Because I don't know if you guys do makeup, but you always want your beauty blender to be damp. Same thing with the art. You want your art sponge to be down. So I'm going to start with the magenta, and I'm going to just grab a little bit of that. I'm going to bring a little bit of white over as well. And I'm pulling it to the side because I don't want a ton of paint on my sponge. It's not a lot because I really want it to be airy and I don't want it to be thick. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start dabbing. I go up and down and I dab. I don't swipe, okay? The dabbing is going to give you, you can try swiping. You can try whatever techniques you want. There's no wrong way to do it. You're making, so that's half the battle, is jumping in and getting your supplies and starting. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab some of my blue. If you want some ideas to look at, you can Google search galaxy and click the image on Google and you'll get lots of pictures of different galaxies. Maybe you want to make the Milky Way. Maybe you want to make a certain planet or constellation when you start adding your stars in. My sponge is still a little bit wet, so I'm just going to squeeze it in a paper towel just to kind of get some of that excess off. I'm going to do mine over here. Now, if your edges are too harsh, let me explain what that means. So my edges are looking kind of squarish and really like they stop suddenly. That's what I mean when I say harsh, they stop suddenly. So let me show you what I mean. They're looking kind of harsh. So I'm gonna grab just a little bit of my black, or what I'm using is a dark gray, and I'm gonna just kind of blur the edges a little bit. I am gonna do a time lapse of this technique of me making an entire galaxy so that you can see it from a different point of view. By the way, I want to shout out to my neighbor, Cass. Cassidy is, I'm not sure what grade Cassidy's in. She's in like upper elementary, so I'm going to guess 4th grade, if I had to guess, 4th grade. Cassidy and I have been kind of exchanging art over this quarantine, social distancing. She was out drawing with sidewalk chalk, and that night I went out and kind of snuck out and drew some things for her to color the next day as a surprise. And then she, in turn, made me this really cute catacorn painting. And the background of this inspired me to do the galaxy. I was like, that's really cool. So yeah, this was a nice little surprise I got on my porch. I'm going to make her a surprise and put it on her porch. It's kind of a fun little thing that we're doing just to kind of distract us from having to be inside and away from all of our family and friends right now. So shout out to Cass. Whoop, whoop. So yeah, what I'm doing is I'm just going to use whatever colors I want. I can take some yellow and add it in there. And if my yellow mixes, it's just going to create some other colors. Like I might get some greens or some oranges. Again, I'm going to use that black to soften the edges. Let me show you how that black is working. Look how that softened up those edges. So when you see pictures of outer space, the colors that you're actually seeing are gases. The gases that are, you know, in outer space, creating the stars, creating the planets, the moons, whatever. The further away we are in distance from certain planets or gases, the different colors are going to appear. I think what I read was if they're blue, they are closer. And if you see shades of red and like purple and pink, they are further away. I think. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I pretend to know a lot about science. I actually really like science. Science was my second favorite subject in school besides art. Where I went to school, we had block scheduling, so our classes were an hour and a half long, and we had 4 classes a day. I really liked it for my art and my science classes because I didn't have to have like a separate lab. I also had an hour and a half to make art. That's really cool. My artists at school only have art for 50 minutes a day, and I feel like until I show them what we're doing and go over everything, it's almost time to clean up. 50 minutes isn't a lot. Sometimes I always say to some of my makers, I'm like, I wish I could keep you all day and just make with this class all day. I really miss my makers right now. I hope they're, you know, staying safe, staying inside, staying clean, washing their hands, and I hope they're making. I hope that they're finding these videos on my Instagram or my YouTube, and I hope that they're making. I hope they're having a good time just kind of distracting themselves from what's going on all around us. So yeah, I'm gonna put this to the side. So I have my little galaxies, and you can add as much or as little as you want. Some of my makers that I have at Reading High cover the whole paper in their colors, and they're super happy with it. Others prefer to leave more black spaces. Totally fine. You are creating it, so you can make it however you would like. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a brush. Let me explain what this brush is. This brush is an angled brush. You can use any brush you want. If you have a toothbrush, like maybe you get those free toothbrushes from your dentist and you just kind of have them in a closet, they'll work great. If you have an old toothbrush that you're done using on your mouth and you're getting a new one out for yourself to brush your teeth, you can use the old one for this. I don't have any old toothbrushes right now. I actually use an electric toothbrush, so it wouldn't really make sense, but this is kind of stiff. It's not really soft and fluffy, but I want to make sure I have water in my brush because I want my white to be a little bit thinner. And let me show you what I'm doing. I'm just pulling some of that thick white paint to the side. You really don't need as much paint as I put out here. I put way too much on my palette. But maybe you are going to make a bunch of these. So I'm just watering down some of that white. And there's two ways I can do this. Yeah, that's two. Yeah. So I can hit my brush down like this. See how I'm going down with my finger? And I'm holding this one steady. I can do that. That's a little bit cleaner if you're trying to keep your area a little bit, you know, not as splattery and messy. The other way that you can do this is you can pull the bristles towards yourself, and then they're going to go release. And this one's a little bit messier. I don't think it's too crazy, but then again, I'm an art teacher. I'm not afraid of mess. So yeah. And if you want really big stars, like maybe you want to make a constellation, you can use the back end of your brush, dip it in some paint, and add some big stars. Because why not? Why not? Rinse that off, wipe that off. Let me show you my galaxies. Those are nice. Those are beautiful. Now I have these edges. I can simply just cut these off. I'm not going to throw these edges out because I could use these for something later. Story of my life. I never throw things out because everything could be art. Look at those. Those are cute. I could use those for something. Okay? So there are my galaxies. I hope you give this a try. I hope that you galaxy paint your entire house. That would be fun. So yeah, make a bunch of these. Put them to the side. Maybe you'll see me using them later. All right? So thank you for joining me. Thank you for making with me today. I hope you have some fun and make some art today. Take care. Wash your hands. Stay away from people. Love you. Bye.